Okay, so here we are continuing from the previous discussion. We had stopped for a break, and I have Alan with me. Uh, so,
Yeah,
Alan, yeah, could you repeat your question? So, shall we? And we can start from there.
yeah. So in the previous video, can had graciously done a demo on how to create a PDF from a Twitter ID. The tweet ID. So I was wondering whether we can go through the workflow, like how the control traverses the code.
Okay,
Um,
so
do this.
how does the code create? How does everything happen in the code? Right, that is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Okay.
a lean workflow, or at least on a high level view, without a deep dive into the third party code.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So I'll just close this so that we have a full view here. So here in the Twinkle CLI, we have a source folder, and index.js was the folder that I had, was the file that I had executed. So
Yeah.
I had run node src/index. So this is the file that is getting run. So if you come to this file, there are a lot of imports at the top, and there is a main function here. And at the bottom, if we come to it, we are running the main function. Okay.
Okay.
So starting off, there is, if you look at this prepare CLI, this is a
Hmm.
function call, and this function is not written anywhere here,
Hmm.
which means that, okay, we need to look for it in one of the imports.
Okay.
Okay, so here you can see that there is a prepare CLI over here, same as this.
Hmm.
So it is requiring from a /CLI, which means look for a file called CLI.js in the same folder. So if you look over
Okay.
here, you can see there is a CLI.js
Okay. Okay. Okay.
on the left side, right? So I'll just open it and pull it to the side. Okay. So here,
Okay.
this particular file has the same prepare CLI function,
Mm-hmm.
which then calls another function.
Okay.
And
Which goes into like additional access. Okay.
so essentially, if you're looking at the code base and you want to understand exactly how the code is going, you would, drill down into the first function. Okay, where is that coming from? Look at that file, then open that. Okay, what is that happening there? So there is another function. See if that function, you can do a control F to find that function. So there are two
Mm-hmm.
instances. If you look at the other one, okay, it is importing from somewhere else. So then you would have to look at, okay, what is that happening? So essentially, I'll just
Mm-hmm.
gloss over what is happening here, but I'll just say that,
Okay.
okay, essentially what it does is it will check if that this particular directory on the left, right, Twinkle library, it will check
Mm-hmm.
if that folder is existing or not, and
Okay.
if it does not exist, it will create a folder.
Okay.
And I think that is self-explanatory in terms of looking at the function name
Yeah.
to some extent. Create the library if it not exists.
It is. It is. It is.
Yeah, so at least starting off, so that is the first thing that it does. Then it does something called a spinner.start, which
Mm-hmm.
is referring to this spinner file. I'm not very sure what it does, but we can take a look.
Okay.
So they are, okay, I'll just close this out for now. So they are using a spinner from something called Aura. I have no idea what Aura is, so let me just open my browser and search for it. So Aura npm.
Just a quick question. What's the keyword const that we see in the code?
Here.
In
Okay.
the yeah.
So essentially, it is similar to the final variable in Java, where we are saying that this
Mm-hmm.
variable can only have this value. It cannot be changed
Oh.
afterwards.
Okay. So once it's assigned, then no further changes will happen to its reference.
Yeah. So if I do something like spinner equal to like an empty string, when you're running it, it will show
Mm-hmm.
up as an error.
Okay. Oh, great. Yeah, got it.
Okay. So looking at Aura, if I open the npm link for it, okay. So it gives us this kind of a loading indicator. Mhm. Okay, so I think when we ran the code, see, there is a loading indicator here. Are you able to see it here?
Yeah, I can see.
Sure, I'll just increase the font size. There is a loading indicator that is running when the code is running. Okay, maybe I'll just run that code once more. So there is a loading here.
Okay.
Okay.
So overrides for this one.
So override, that is essentially what it does. So coming back to the main index.js file, so that spinner gets started. Then we have get command line arguments.
Okay.
So this command line args is a function. If we look at it, it is coming from CLI. Because if you think about it, we could have written the same code. This is a function, okay, that we wrote. We could have written the same code in this file itself. But if you think about it, because this is related to the command line section, we have put it into a separate file called CLI. Because it makes more sense to have that kind of a code in the CLI folder.
Yeah, so you're complying with the single responsibility principle.
Yeah.
We are the command line should be in a separate.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wouldn't say that the entire code base is perfect like this, but
halfway, if it meets the principle halfway, then still the code is still beautiful.
Yeah, and what would happen otherwise is that we would have a single index.js which is like 1,000 lines of code. Very difficult.
It's God classes are not my favorite. It's not my cup of tea. Yeah.
I think you would have seen a few in our code base at work.
It just messes up with your mind. Like God classes, they're like you don't understand anything that the function is gonna do or what the side effects are gonna be. It's gonna do a whole bunch of things, and it's gonna just the method name would be like get xxx, but it would initialize, it would do something else, it would do A, B, C, D, E, but then you get nothing from the method name. This is quite clean, actually. It's quite refreshing to see this kind of code. Like you're actually writing with ease. You can understand it by your eyes don't go from the top to the bottom and then back to the top, and then you're wondering what the hell is happening in the code or anything like that.
Yeah, that is exactly what we're looking for. And another thing to add to, because I was working in the CLI also, I understand. So essentially for the CLI working, if I open the file, we're using another thing called YArgs, which is helping us work with the command line arguments. So the idea with this get command line arguments function is that someone who is using this function, get command line arguments, they will get all the variables that are being passed in the command line, but they don't need to know how to work with this YArgs thing.
Oh, yeah. So it's like an adapter pattern.
It's like an adapter, or you could also call it a facade.
Okay, yeah, like facade.
It's almost the same thing, I think. I might be wrong on that. But
no, I think facade is correct.
Okay, yeah. So essentially, this CLI module is the only thing that would know about how the YArgs works, and it will do whatever coding is necessary. So here it is calling the YArgs function, passing it the process arg. And
so this process args would essentially be a string, right? Something like a string, which would contain the arguments that we provide in the command line or in the console.
I do not know if it is a string. Let us try and do a console log. I should be knowing this, but I don't know it.
Yeah, I'm just asking out of curiosity.
Yeah. So let us try running and see what it shows. Okay. So it is an array. It is an array with each argument pointing to each of the space separated items here. So the first one is the executable.
Right.
Second is the file, the entire file path. Then we have the -i flag that is here.
Okay. And yeah. So from the third argument downwards, it would be the flag, then the value, then the next flag, and the next value, and so on.
Yeah. So what if I go to the CLI back again. So what this YArgs would do is it will consume that array and it will try to parse it based on what configuration we have given here. So here in this example, we are saying, okay, there should be an I, which means tweet ID, which is what I used here, -i. Yeah.
In the
And so there are also other arguments, for example, -f to say what format we want the output in. By default, it is PDF. We can also say EPUB or MOBI. I think EPUB is also in progress. MOBI is not yet implemented.
Okay.
So like that, we have configured the YARGs to try to understand the command line arguments, and it will just return all those these kind of alias values: tweet ID, format, output file name. If you look at here, we have like tweet ID.
Right. Oh, that's elegant. Okay.
It's just converting it into a much more understandable format. Okay, so
yeah, it's digestible.
yeah. So here, what we're getting is we're getting all the command line arguments which are into a proper variable kind of a format. Okay. So then we have a big try catch block. So essentially, you would understand try catch, right? We are trying to see if code runs. If there is any error, we catch it in the error catch section. Okay, so the first thing that we're doing is verifying the environment variables. I think this should go to a different module, but at least what it's doing is it is trying to verify. I think it's here. Yeah. So it is trying to throw some errors if the environment variables are not provided.
Okay.
So for example, Twitter auth token. So this auth token is the token that will give us access to Twitter API. Twitter API requires that we have an access token.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay.
Because what you would see is the Twitter API is not directly callable without authentication. So for that we need to pass a token.
Okay. So you'll be registering in as with the user ID or password. So how do you get the Twitter auth token?
Yeah. So
is there an
yeah. So Twitter, they have a developer.twitter.com. So first you have to come here and you need to sign up for a developer account. And once you get the developer account, you'll be able to go ahead and get the token for your account.
Okay. So it's just this auth token. So it's like a hash code of with the is a hash code function with the time variable also, or like it changes with time. Would it stay constant for each individual user?
At least for me, it is the same. I have not changed it since I got it. So I think it is a constant.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe they have a longer time duration. Maybe it's a year or something. So since that time has not elapsed, we have not come into any issues. And also, just to add to that, in the wiki section, applying for developer access from Twitter. So one of our teammates, Meera, she has documented the entire process, how to apply.
Oh, this is quite detailed.
So everything is mentioned here, and here are the keys. And so, like you can. This is the actual page where you can copy the key. Yeah. So all this is documented here, and I think there's also one more.
It's good documentation.
Yeah. Insanely great support from the people who have done it. So Meera was the person who did this, and yeah. So there is a bit of documentation here, and yeah, anyone can go through this, and not just there, but also inside docs. There are a lot of documentation here, and some articles are here. So that is some concepts like syncing Git or Puppeteer or handlebars. So some concept like that. So this probably will keep evolving. So this one was added 2 days ago. JavaScript core related some FAQ kind of thing. So yeah, that is we are derailing from the main point, but yeah, these are also available. And it's like everyone is taking the initiative by themselves to come up with this. For example, Shekhar was the one who added this file, and we had Vijaya who explained this Puppeteer and the handlebars part. So like that, each person, based on what they are interested in and what they have explored, they are trying to create the documentation for it.
Yeah, I think like I'm not sure how much people actually value documentation or not, because I'm not from an environment where documents are valued. So like it's like that literally the drop of water that you get in a scorching hot desert. Like it may just take you like 2 minutes or 3 minutes to read through a documentation that somebody else has written, and you'll get the concept. But to write a documentation, that takes a hell of a lot of effort and research. You have to make sure that it's not corrupted, it's up to date, whether it's correct or not. You need to watch out for everything of this. So like it may be a 5 line or just 1 page of a documentation, but it's I believe that each document is a huge effort from each developer. And I would like to, a big thanks to everybody. So who's contributing to the documentation part of this. It's really heartwarming.
Like you're saying, it is compressing a lot of effort that the person might have done maybe 1 or 2 days worth of effort into a simple documentation. So for anyone else who wants to just understand, it's quite simple to read. Like maybe in a half an hour or 1 hour, you'll be able to understand the entire thing.
Exactly. So, if you're thinking it from a theoretical point of view, if you consider the man-hours that each developer has to put in to understand this code, to analyze the code, to get that light bulb moment, it's a long time. So the documents are the easiest hack that it's the light bulb needs to happen for just one guy, and then with his, if the documentation is proper, then it will aid everybody else to reach to that point.
And I think you have struggled a lot with some parts of our company code base where you had to dig code for days to understand something.
Yeah, it's just to understand what one method does. It might take you a couple of days because it's not clean, or because of God classes or something else. I can get really messy. So it's really heartwarming to see a lot of documentation, and it gives a confidence to any guy, whether it be a fresher or an experienced guy. At least I believe that to see documentation to make the code base really developer friendly. Really.
And what we're doing right now in terms of this video is also documentation, and we have a lot of those also on YouTube. So I think it is very good that someone can. So essentially, people don't have to be at this time. People don't have to be with us to go through this, right? So they can look at it at their own pace whenever they get time. And also we have a very wide time zone, from all the way from Sydney, Australia to America. So we cannot possibly we would need to exclude certain people if we were having a live session. So having the video is the only way that we can accommodate for everyone to be able to access these.
I agree with that completely, because this is the most effective asynchronous communication tool. That is what I think. But to most people, it sounds silly that making videos or documentation is so critical in the software workflow. But to me, no, it's one of the cornerstones. It's not a good to have feature; it's a must-have feature for every code base. At least,
I agree.
From my point of view, after a while, any code base can get complicated, and for a guy like if I'm taking myself as an example, for a guy who is new to JavaScript, it's intimidating as hell if there's no documentation at all. And you just and especially if there are no test cases, you don't have anything to start on. You just have to find the main method and then put a debug point, and then hope to God like you will understand what the flow is, and it's not going to take more than 30 minutes to debug through the entire workflow. And if it's not going to be, oh my God, all hell will break loose.
Okay, yeah.
So once again, thanks for all the documentation that everybody is providing.
Yeah, I guess like you mentioned, it's not immediately apparent what the value of this documentation is, but once you get exposed to these, and then you realize, okay, that changes the game entirely.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I think I'll not go line by line here because there are some conditions that are happening here. But essentially, what is happening is we are getting tweets for that particular user. Okay, if I take this function for example, get tweets from user, passing in a user ID and the Twitter auth token.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'll take a look at this get tweets from user. It is coming from the Twitter module. Okay.
Okay.
So if I open the Twitter module, so here it is only saying /Twitter, but there are a lot of files in Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is in Node.js by default, if you're saying a folder name, it will find the index.js file.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need to write Twitter/index.js. It's like just write Twitter, it will capture the index.js.
Okay.
Okay. So we go to the index.js. And in index.js, what we see is it is taking from a /Twitter and it's just exporting that Twitter. Okay. You don't need to specifically know what this exactly does, but at least if you look at it, okay, it is requiring this Twitter and it's exporting this Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So /Twitter, same folder, Twitter file. Okay.
Okay.
So what was the name again? It was get tweets from user. Okay. So in the Twitter module, get tweets from user. Okay, it's here. So what's happening here is it is getting user tweets. It's calling another function, passing in the specific screen name. I think that is what is the username called, or the tweet ID called, and the token again. So it is making an API request here. So if we go deeper into this, so if you look at it, there is a lot of folders here and a lot of going in and coming out. So it is, what do I say? Initially, this was all actually in a single file, and it became a very huge file. And if you might think that this is also intimidating, but once you understand, okay, this is trying to get the tweets, and if you look at it, it's coming from Twitter endpoints, user timeline. So it is from the API. So if you look at the API, Twitter endpoints, there's a user timeline. Okay. So we are able to see, okay, so this, okay. So I was wrong when I said that this is getting the, sorry, just a moment. We were using this get user tweets, right? Get user tweets. Okay. So this is the experimental feature that I was telling you, that we can get details about the specific user, all the tweets from that user. Okay.
Right.
So I took the wrong rabbit hole to go into. Let me just open something that I am familiar with. I mean, this happens, sometimes you don't know what this is.
Yeah, definitely.
Because someone else wrote it. I don't know. So
is there any feature like revision information or something like that to see who did what?
Yeah, I think
the authors.
Yeah. So if I come back to that user timeline, if I this Twitter.js get tweets from user. If I'm like hovering over it, I'm saying, okay, Puru Vijay is the person who has done it.
Okay.
2 days ago.
No, but that's like when you're hovering over a particular line, you are understanding who wrote the code, right? So is it possible to see it upfront? Is there such a feature in this IDE?
Okay, so I think this is also because of some extension I've installed. But apart from that, I'm yet to figure out how VS Code works in that regard. Maybe creative.
I think I think the command for that was git blame. I think to understand who checked
that. That sounds good. Yeah. So let's try to do that. Let's copy the file path and then git blame that file. No such path. Okay, my mistake. Yeah, CLI we can do anything, but yeah. Okay, so we have. Okay, this might look intimidating, but it's essentially each line and saying who did it.
Who did it? Yeah.
So Puru
sorry. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, in Eclipse it's like this. inbuilt feature. So
Oh.
instead of listing it like this in the console, you'll see it just like next to the line who wrote it in a colored, in a visually aesthetic manner.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's this thing called GitLens.
Mhm.
Another extension which does a few of these things. I think line history is there. So if you look at this, so who all made changes? Kuro has made a lot of changes, which all commits is up to this. So it's an extension that I've installed, GitLens, which is not default in VS Code. So I think,
Okay.
I have not explored much on this, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
No, it's just one of the tools in my toolbox, like in analyzing code. That's why I asked. That's it.
Yeah, got it. So that is your go-to thing to identify who to talk
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Who is the culprit? Who is to blame for this
Yeah.
monstrosity?
No, whether it can be a monstrosity or it can be okay. This guy has left the code or knows most of the code. Like the oldest, the thumb rule is like the guy who did the oldest check-in would know the most about the code in that class.
Yeah, got it. That makes sense. Okay, so coming back to our exploration. So here we're seeing, there is a section called should use Puppeteer. So essentially there is a limitation with the Twitter API where we are not able to fetch thread details for older than 7 days. So Twitter has a limit restriction on this API. So only if a tweet is less than 7 days old can we fetch the data. So in order to circumvent that, we have used this thing called Puppeteer to actually scrape the data.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
So what that does in the background is it runs a Chrome in headless mode, where basically it is not opening a Chrome browser, but in the background it is running a Chrome browser. It is opening the tweet website, specific thread website, and it is identifying specific tweet IDs and then fetching the data for each of those tweets. So that is what is happening here. Tweet IDs are being fetched from using the Puppeteer. And if you want, we can take a look at this also. So get tweet IDs. If we come up here, get tweet IDs is here from the scraping module. So immediately you know what is happening there. It's from the
it's for scraping.
So
suppose a guy has did like or there are like 10 or 15 tweets. So this library will help us fetch all the 15 of the tweet IDs. Is that the logic?
Yeah.
Using a
yes, it fetches as many. I think they have tested with something more than 100 tweets. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that is working. So essentially, it uses the Puppeteer module. So only here we are importing the Puppeteer, at least for this scraping situation. And we are launching Puppeteer and going to the page URL, which is essentially twitter.com/status/tweetid.
Okay.
So we're going to the page and we're waiting some time for the page to load. Then we are like, what are we doing? We have an empty ID array to capture all the ID. We are finding reply button, and we are clicking on it. So essentially, I think, okay. So what happens in the Twitter pages, if there is a long thread, only a certain number of initial tweets are shown by default. Then you have to press a show more button or show replies button.
Ah, right. Yeah.
So this is essentially finding that button. And then if that button exists, we want to click it so that it will load all the tweets. Okay. And then what it is doing is, it is capturing all the time nodes. So essentially, if I try to open Twitter, if you open a thread, okay, great. So all this evolved over time. Okay, so it's not like everyone knew exactly how to do this in the first go. So if you look at this time section here, this is giving us, if you look at the bottom left here, if I hover over the time, it is giving us the correct address of that tweet. And if there's a subthread, if I hover over the time, it is giving the correct tweet ID.
Okay.
So we are targeting this time element. We are capturing all the time elements and capturing the addresses to get the IDs of all the tweets.
Oh, okay.
So that is what is doing here. So we have all the time elements here. So this is, I don't think you would be familiar much of the JavaScript involving the document, right?
No,
Yeah,
I'm
so
not familiar.
essentially it is, I can show it to you also. So if I open Firefox again, if I open the DevTools and I paste this, so I'm getting a list of nodes. If I hover over each, you can see that, okay, where is this one? Where is this one? See, that's the 8 hours there. Then we have the next one, which is the next 5 hours. See that?
Okay. That's nice.
So it is capturing all of those elements. At least in this thread, only so many. So it comes up to this. Right? And come back to the code. So it will loop through that, and then it will try to get the URL. It will split it, and then it will try to get the last portion. So essentially that section marker, only that one.
Yeah, got it.
So getting that ID, then we are returning the ID. That is all. So it is fetching all the IDs from that page. Okay. And
that's neat.
And then what we're doing is, once that is received, so there is this other Twitter API endpoint, which will allow us to fetch individual tweets. So the one I said that had a limitation was the one which fetches the entire thread. Okay, so since we cannot use that limited endpoint, we are trying to use the main individual tweet endpoint, which will give us up to any older tweet. By giving it the ID, we can query by the ID.
Okay.
So for that, we fetched all the IDs. Now we are calling the API with the IDs. So that is that. So if we're not using,
so this is a bulk API call.
It is a single. Like, it is a single API call which accepts up to 100 tweet IDs in a single call.
Oh, okay.
It essentially is a bulk API call. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So 100 is going to be a limiting point.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if they have figured it out. Then let's see. That was also a question that we had during our discussion. Get tweets from array. Get tweets from array. So it's getting from Twitter. Get tweets from array. Here it is. So I don't think any changes happened here, but let me just try pulling the latest code. Maybe I am a bit on the older version. Okay, and made some changes. So it's not in it. Okay. So now I have the latest version of the code. No, it is still just joining the IDs. So I think right now, if it is more than 100, this would break. But at least the majority use case is less than 100. So for most cases, it will not break. But we do, I think we have captured it as an issue on GitHub. So that we'll get back to it.
Cool.
Okay, so coming back. So essentially, here, so we were here. So, there is a lot of code. As we are looking at it, it changed. Okay. I think they are doing some.
Okay.
They are doing some processing here. Right? Some code has changed. So, okay. So let's just assume that all the tweets are, all the tweet data are being fetched here. And
that's more than enough. Yeah, at least in the tweets, you're gonna get all the tweet IDs.
That's what's happening. Yeah. So then we have an intelligent output file name. I think this is generating an output file path. This should go into utils or something. This doesn't need to be here. Fair enough. Fine. Okay, then we have the renderer. So the renderer is what will render our PDF or EPUB. Okay. So we fetched all the tweets.
Renderer is something that we wrote, or is it from a third party code?
Okay, let's look at it. So And I'll just give the overview, and we'll jump
Yeah,
into
sure. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
That's better.
so we fetched the tweets up here. We ensured that we got all the tweets, and we are providing that into the renderer. And we're also saying what format we want it to render in. So we saw the CLI argument, right? -f was the
Yeah.
format. So if it's PDF or not, that gets passed in.
Mhm.
And the output file path, it is picking up from here, and it is giving where to render it to. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we can look at the renderer. If I look for it is here in require./renderer. Okay.
Okay.
Which means, let me just close it all up and we'll just come back. So Twingle CLI SRC, we were here, index.js, and now it is requiring ./renderer. That is this one. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is requiring renderer. So we have to look into index.js.
Index.js.
So what is it exposing? This render function.
Okay.
That is the function that we are calling. Passing in tweets, passing in the format and output file format. Okay. So what is happening here is we have a switch case, and if it is PDF, it will run the PDF. So it is importing the PDF code. How to generate the PDF?
Okay.
If it's an EPUB, it will generate or import the generate EPUB and call that function. So that is also something I think we have written, because here in the renderer folder we have PDF and EPUB also. ./PDF,
Okay.
./EPUB, and someone has written /index. This is not needed. We don't need to say /index, because so we have people of different skills, right? So some people are very new to Node.js, so it still works. /index also works, but they just not come across it, so that's fine. We just merge it in as long as it works.
Yeah. If it works, then it's fine. If it's clean, then it's a little bit better. That's it.
Yeah, that's all. But as long as the working is the main priority, right?
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
that's the most difficult part. So, based on your explanation earlier, so the hope is that sometime down the lane you're going to add a case, like a case PDF, case EPUB. You're going to add case Mobi to this into this use case.
I think we have a Mobi folder here, but it is empty right now.
It's just having a README. Okay.
So once that is in place, we would just call that function.
Okay.
Alan, I think we are close to 40 minutes right now. I think Zoom will kick us out right now. So shall we take another break and come back?
Sure.
So we will stop here, and we will look at this generate EPUB or generate PDF, right?
Yeah. Can we just go back to the index.js, the highest level? Yeah. So we have already rendered, so we are close to the. Yeah. So we are close to the endpoint.
Yeah, we are almost there. Just one more video. I think we should be good to go.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. So we'll stop here and we'll catch up in part 3.
Okay.
Okay.